You know, first time we took Mustangs over Germany, the Germans just laughed. They called the P-51 furniture with wings. Back then, the Germans said our P-51 was just furniture with wings. They stopped laughing once they saw what that furniture could do.
December 1943, 30,000 feet over Belgium. A German ace looks at the new American fighter and laughs. "Furniture with wings," he says. Hauptmann Franz Stiegler keys his radio. His squadron chuckles. Below them, 8 P-51 Mustangs approach in loose formation, stubby and awkward compared to sleek FW-190s, fresh olive paint gleaming in the winter sun. First Lieutenant Chuck Yeager leads the formation. He's 21, Hamlin, West Virginia. His father taught him to hunt white-tailed deer. Don't aim where the buck is, aim where he's going. That lesson kept meat on the table during the Depression. Now it keeps him alive at 6 miles high. This is Yeager's third combat mission. A month ago, his squadron flew stubby P-39s. Now he sits in a brand new P-51B. It feels heavier, different. But the Packard-built Merlin shoves 1,290 horsepower straight through the stick into his hands. The mission is mathematical suicide. Berlin and back. No American fighter has that range. Until now. Stiegler checks his fuel gauge. Plenty. He rolls his FW-190 into a diving attack. 400 miles per hour. His wingmen follow. Textbook intercept. 182 kills in this squadron since 1940. These Americans are about to become 183 through 190. Yeager sees them coming. Every training instinct screams, turn into the attack, dogfight, prove yourself. He ignores all of it. He pushes the throttle to the firewall. The Merlin answers. 430, 450, 470. Tracers arc past his canopy. Close. Missing. Yeager holds the dive, then hauls back on the stick. The P-51 claws upward at a rate no German fighter can match above 25,000 feet. The two-stage supercharger keeps the power coming where Luftwaffe engines choke on thin air. Stiegler's FW-190 falls behind. He can't follow. Now his fuel is the real enemy. Yeager's wingman breaks radio silence. Lead. They're breaking off. The furniture just became a coffin. The Germans don't know it yet, but in a few months, every pilot in Europe will. 8 months earlier, April 1943, Wright-Patterson Field, Ohio. Test pilot Robert Chilton lands a P-51 Mustang, rolls to a stop, climbs out and walks toward the engineering shed, shaking his head. Dead above 15,000 feet, he says. Completely dead. The problem is simple and fatal. The Allison V1 710 engine has a single-stage supercharger. Above bomber altitude, it just can't squeeze enough air. Power drops by half. Where B-17 is fly and German fighters intercept, the P-51A turns into a target with wings. American heavy bombers need escorts deep into Germany. Schweinfurt, Regensburg, Berlin. Without fighters, losses run 20% on some missions. Keep that up and the daylight bombing campaign simply dies. The Republic P-47 Thunderbolt can fight at altitude. Its turbocharged engine shoves out 2,500 horsepower. But the fuel tanks say no. The Thunderbolt runs dry over eastern France. The Lockheed P-38. Lightning has range, 1,400 miles with drop tanks. But its twin Allison engines hate European weather. Ice crystals in the fuel lines. Oil turning to sludge. Too many pilots never make it home. Britain looks at the problem differently. April 1942. Duxford Airfield. Ronald Harker, a Rolls-Royce test pilot, flies the P-51A at low level. He loves the airframe. The laminar flow wing slides through the air with less drag than a Spitfire, but that Allison engine chains it to low altitude. He lands, finds the RAF liaison officer and shrugs. Good airframe, wrong engine. Put our Merlin in it. The Merlin 61, two-stage supercharger, 2 speeds, intercooler. The same heart that drives Spitfire, Mach 9s and Lancasters to 30,000 feet. North American Aviation resists. Company President James Kindleberger studies the drawings. Impossible. The Merlin weighs 350 pounds more than the Allison. It will shove the center of gravity too far aft. His engineers calculate anyway. Move the wings 6 inches forward, add an 85-gallon fuel tank behind the pilot. The numbers whisper that it might work. October 13th, 1942, Hucknall, England. The modified P-51 with a Merlin 65 takes off and climbs to 30,000 feet. The test pilot opens the throttle. Airspeed unwinds past 432 miles per hour, nearly 100 faster than the Allison version. The data reaches Washington within 48 hours. The Army Air Forces order 400 Mustangs, then 2,000 more. Production of the P-51B begins June 1943 at Inglewood, California. By December, the first Merlins arrive in England, and the math finally changes. Internal fuel plus 2 drop tanks equals 2,300 miles of range. For the first time, an American fighter can reach Berlin and come home. January 11th, 1944, pre-dawn. RAF Boxted, England. Major James Howard briefs the 354th Fighter Group. "Gentlemen, today we go to Oschersleben." He points at the map. Deep into Germany, aircraft factories, 49 P-51B Mustangs sit on the tarmac. Mechanics make final checks. Armorers feed ammunition belts into the wings, 400 rounds for the inboard guns, 270 for the outboard. Armor-piercing, incendiary, tracer. Every 5th round will glow. Lieutenant Chuck Yeager straps into his aircraft. He's painted Glamorous Glen under the cockpit, after his girlfriend back home. The cockpit smells of oil and cordite. 6 Browning .50 zero-caliber machine guns crouch in the wings. The Merlin starts with authority, 12 cylinders firing in perfect sequence. They take off in pairs as dawn breaks, climb to 28,000 feet, minus 40 degrees. Ice crystals creep along the canopy edges. Below the B-17 flying fortresses are silver dots, each carrying 6,000 pounds of bombs. Slow, vulnerable. German radar picks them up. FW-19s scramble from Rhine, BF-19s from Bonn-Hangela. Veterans. Eastern Front survivors. They expect easy kills against another new American fighter. Hauptmann Franz Stigler leads his squadron toward the bombers at 26,000 feet. Then he sees them. P-51s, high above at 30,000 feet, waiting in the sun. "Engage the escorts," he orders. The Germans climb. Their engines struggle. Thin air steals power. Climb rate sinks to 200 feet per minute. Yeager watches them claw upward. Checks his airspeed. 290. Good energy. "Tally-ho, I'm engaging." He rolls inverted and dives. Airspeed builds, 400, 450, 500. The Merlin screams but holds. Yeager slides in behind a BF-109. The German tries to turn. Too slow. Yeager centers the reticle and squeezes the trigger. A 2-second burst. Tracers walk up the fuselage. The canopy explodes. The 109 rolls inverted and drops out of the fight. First kill. His hands stay steady. The dogfight lasts 11 minutes. The P-51s fight the way they were built to fight. Speed and altitude. Dive, shoot, zoom back up. No turning contests. 15 German fighters fall. Not a single Mustang is lost. Major Howard downs 4 himself. At last, the Luftwaffe breaks off and runs. The bombers hit Oschersleben. They all make it back to England. In debrief, Howard lights a cigarette. "They didn't expect us that fast," he says, "or that far from home." The furniture grew teeth. February 19th, 1944. Evening. 8th Air Force Headquarters, England. General James Doolittle stands before the fighter group commanders. A wall-sized map of Germany glows under lamps. Red pins mark Luftwaffe bases. Blue pins mark targets. "Tomorrow we begin big week," Doolittle says. 6 consecutive days, maximum effort, every bomber we have, every fighter. Lieutenant Colonel Donald Blakesley raises his hand. "Escort doctrine, sir." Doolittle's answer rewrites the war. "You will not stay with the bombers. You will hunt. Find the Luftwaffe on the ground, in the air, before they form up, after they land. Hunt them everywhere." Silence. For years, escorts circled the B-17s defensively. Now they're unleashed like hounds. "The real target isn't factories," Doolittle continues. "It's pilots. Kill them faster than they can train replacements." February 20th. Big week begins. Over 3,000 bomber sorties planned. 1,200 fighters. 3/4 of them P-51s. February the 22nd, Yeager flies his 16th mission, Schweinfurt ball-bearing plants. 32,000 feet, minus 42 degrees. Ice crusts the windscreen even with the defroster running. German fighters rise from 4 bases, Bf-109S with purple noses and brown camo. Most pilots are young, 40 hours of flight time before combat. Americans average 200. Yeager engages at 28,000. The German tries a tight chandelle turn, Eastern Front style, to bleed energy and flip the fight. But the P-51 turns with him. Better power to weight at altitude. The Merlin's 2-stage supercharger delivers 1,400 horsepower where the German DB6-05 wheezes at 900. Yeager stays inside the turn, pulls lead, fires a 3-second burst. The 109's engine erupts. White coolant, black smoke. The pilot bails at 23,000 feet. That pattern repeats across Germany. P-51 groups tear apart Luftwaffe formations everywhere they find them. 6 days. Luftwaffe losses, 226 fighters in air combat, 61 on the ground. But the worst losses are human. 157 pilots killed, 33 captured, 90 wounded. American losses, 28 bombers, 6 fighters. Before the P-51, October 1943, bomber losses averaged 9% per mission. February 1944 with Mustangs, 3.5. The math changes. Germany can replace factories. It cannot replace men with 3 years of combat experience. A Luftwaffe instructor at Rechlin writes in his logbook, "We are eating our seed corn." The P-51 made that inevitable. March 4th, 1944, pre-dawn, RAF Leiston, England. The mission board goes up. Someone reads aloud, "Berlin." Silence. Then hushed voices. Berlin, the German capital, 600 miles from England. Never hit in daylight. The Luftwaffe will defend it with everything. Major John Meyer gives the brief. 1,600 miles round trip. 6 hours flight time. Weather forecast is terrible. Heavy clouds, ice. Half the bomber groups will abort. We won't. Each P-51B carries 2 drop tanks, 108 gallons each, plus the 85-gallon fuselage tank behind the pilot. Total, 469 gallons, enough for 6.5 hours, maybe 7 if everything goes right. Yeager climbs into his cockpit at 0630, still dark, 28 degrees. His breath fogs the windscreen. He checks fuel gauges, gun switches. The gun sight glows amber. The Merlin fires immediately. Oil pressure rises. Coolant temperature climbs. He tests magnetos. Both ignition systems answer. Cycles the propeller. Blade angle changes smoothly. They take off into darkness. Climb through 8,000 feet of cloud. Ice builds on wing leading edges. The airplane feels heavy. At 15,000 they break clear. Stars above. Cloud deck below like an ocean. 64 P-51s from 3 squadrons tighten formation. They cross the Dutch coast at 29,000. German flak reaches up. Black puffs bracket them, close. Concussions shake the airframes. No hits. At 32,000 over Brunswick, Yeager spots a lone Bf-109 at 28,000, flying off to the side. Probably a controller aircraft reporting Allied positions. "Top cover," Yeager tells his wingman. He rolls inverted and dives. The 109 is faster than expected. Yeager misjudges closure. Overshoots. Pulls back hard. 6 Gs. Blood drains from his head. Vision tunnels. Grey at the edges. He flexes his legs, tightens his stomach, fights the Gs, then rolls back in. Now he's underneath the 109. Co-speed. He kicks right rudder, skids sideways, lines up. His guns are cold-soaked. Only 3 fire, then 2. Ammunition feed problems in -40 air. 2 is enough. 50 caliber rounds punch through the belly. Fuel ignites. Orange flame. The pilot doesn't bail. The 109 tumbles, trailing fire. First American kill over Berlin. The bombers hit their targets. The Luftwaffe rises, but in smaller numbers than expected. They've learned. Don't engage the Mustangs. March 5th, next day. Different outcome. Yeager escorts B-24s south of Paris. Weather closes in. He gets separated. 3 FW-19s drop from the clouds. Professional bounce. 20mm cannons tear his P-51 apart. The engine explodes. Fire in the cockpit. 16,000 feet. He jettisons the canopy. Wind blast hits him. Kicks free. Falls. Waits. He can't pull the ripcord yet. The 190s might strafe. 10,000. 8. 6. He pulls. The parachute snaps open. He looks down. French countryside. Occupied territory. 50 miles east of Bordeaux. The P-51 can't help him now. May 15th, 1944. Morning. RAF Leiston, England. Chuck Yeager walks into the squadron ready room. Conversations stop. Captain Don Botchke drops his coffee mug. It shatters on the concrete. Jesus Christ! Yeager? Morning, sir. 2 months since he was shot down. Everyone assumed him dead or in a camp. The squadron held a memorial, gave away his footlocker. Yeager spent 8 weeks with the French resistance. Hid in barns, moved only at night, helped wire plastic explosives under rail lines. A village doctor dug shrapnel out of his leg without anesthetic. Yeager bit down on a strip of leather to keep from screaming. The resistance pushed him over the Pyrenees in March. Snow up to his waist, feet half frozen. He reached Spain, neutral but not exactly safe. The American consul arrived 3 days later. 6 weeks in a Spanish hotel, technically interned. In reality, waiting while Washington bargained. In the end, a deal was struck. 6 airmen in exchange for gasoline and medical supplies. He landed back in England May 10th. He expected to be sent home. Army Air Force's policy is clear. Evaders don't fly combat again. They know too much about resistance networks. If captured and interrogated, whole underground cells could die, Yeager argues anyway. D-Day is coming. Everyone knows it. When we invade, the resistance will fight in the open. The secrecy won't matter. His commander sends the request up the chain. It keeps climbing. All the way to Eisenhower. June 12th. Eisenhower meets 2 evader pilots in person. He listens, asks questions, studies their faces. After D-Day, he says at last, you can fly. June 6th. Normandy. The invasion succeeds. Resistance fighters rise and fight openly. July. Yeager returns to combat status, this time in a different airplane, the P-51D bubble canopy instead of Razorback. 360 degrees of visibility. No blind spots. Same Packard, Merlin 51650-7 engine, 1490 horsepower. Same 6.50 calibers, but refined. Gun heaters that actually work. Ammunition feeds that don't freeze at altitude. A K-14 computing gun sight that solves deflection angles for him. He names the airplane Glamorous Glen 2. Crew Chief Technical Sergeant Eugene McMullen babies it. 0 mechanical failures. July through September, the Luftwaffe is different. Fewer veterans, more kids. Teenagers with thin logbooks. They make mistakes. Sloppy formations, panic when bounced. They break early, run for cloud cover. Yeager racks up kills methodically. ABF-109 on July 18th, an FW-190 on August 6th, another 109 on September 11th. His total climbs to 7. Good, respectable, but not exceptional. Many pilots have 10, some have 15. Then comes October 12th. Summer 1944. The air war transforms completely. P-51 groups no longer just escort. They hunt across Germany. Operation Chattanooga. Strafing missions. Mustangs at 50 feet altitude, 400 miles per hour, so low they dodge church steeples. Pilots destroy locomotives, truck convoys, Rhine barges. The liquid-cooled Merlin is fragile under them. 1 bullet through the coolant system and the engine overheats in 4 minutes. The pilot has seconds to belly land. They accept the risk. The Luftwaffe stops coming up to fight. Not for lack of airplanes. Factories are producing more fighters than ever. Dispersed plants, underground assembly lines. Production actually increases. But the pilots are the problem. Training collapses under impossible pressure. New Luftwaffe pilots arrive with 40 flight hours before combat. No gunnery training, no real formation work, just stick and rudder basics. American pilots average 200 hours plus full tactical instruction. The mathematics are brutal. An inexperienced pilot in a good airplane loses to an experienced pilot in an equal airplane every single time. From January to April 1944, the Luftwaffe loses 1,076 fighter pilots, killed, wounded, or missing. Among them, 28 aces with over 30 kills each, 8 aces with over 100 kills. Eastern Front veterans who survived Poland, France, Britain, North Africa, and Russia, gone in 4 months over Germany. The replacement pipeline can't keep up. Training schools shove cadets through faster, cut corners, skip advanced instruction, send them half-prepared to frontline squadrons. By August, some squadron commanders refuse certain missions. My pilots aren't ready. They'll die uselessly. Standing orders from Luftwaffe High Command become simple. Attack bombers, avoid Mustangs at all costs. When P-51s meet German fighters now, encounters are brief. The Germans instantly recognize the silhouette, long nose, bubble canopy, laminar flow wing. They break off without fighting, dive away at full power, run for home or for clouds. Nobody wants a turning fight with a Mustang anymore. American gun camera film shows the pattern again and again. German fighters flee, constantly, desperately. The mockery from December 1943 is a distant memory. Now there is only fear. Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring watches from his headquarters. Luftwaffe commander. 4 years earlier, he promised Hitler no enemy bomber would ever reach Berlin. His fighters, he said, would keep the skies clean. Now he reads casualty reports that never end. He watches his Air Force bleed out. After the war, Allied interrogators ask him directly, "When did you know Germany had lost the air war?" His answer becomes famous. "When I saw Mustangs over Berlin," he says, "I knew the jig was up." One American fighter, 650 miles from base, over the German capital, untouchable. The P-51 didn't just defeat the Luftwaffe, it broke their will to fight. October 12, 1944. Morning. Bremen bomber escort mission. Lieutenant Chuck Yeager leads 16 P-51Ds from the 363rd Fighter Squadron. Mission profile, patrol 50 to 100 miles ahead of the B-24 bomber stream. Find German fighters before they can organize effective attacks. At 25,000 feet over Steinhuder Meer, northwest of Hanover, Yeager spots contrails high above. He counts carefully. 22 Bf-10-9s in loose formation climbing toward intercept altitude. Tally-ho, 20-plus bandits, 12 o'clock high. His voice is calm, just information. The 16 Mustangs circle wide. They slide into position with the sun at their backs. The oldest trick in aerial combat. Attack from the sun, let the enemy fly blind. In March 1944, Yeager had 1 kill. Most pilots had 2 or 3. The Luftwaffe still controlled German airspace. Bombers suffered 10% losses. The air war balanced on a knife edge. Then came Big Week and the summer. New doctrine. Hunt, don't just escort. Kill pilots, not factories. The P-51 gave the tool. Doctrine gave permission. Training gave the skill. Now, October 1944, everything is different. Yeager rolls inverted and dives. His wingman follows. All 16 Mustangs drop out of the sun at once. The German formation never sees them coming. Yeager lines up on a trailing 109. Before he can fire, the German pilot finally spots him and panics. He yanks hard left without checking. Collides with his own wingman. Both aircraft disintegrate. Wings separate. 2 pilots bail out. Parachutes blossom white against the sky. 2 kills. No shots fired. The fight stretches across 10 miles. Mustangs and 109s spin, dive, climb. Drop tanks tumble away. Contrails weave white scars across blue sky. Yeager picks out another 109 diving away. He pulls lead. The K-14 computing gun sight solves the deflection automatically from range and angular rate. He fires a 3-second burst. The 109 explodes at 600 yards. Orange fireball. Black smoke. 3rd kill. A 4th 109 angles in behind him. Yeager sees him clearly through the bubble canopy. No blind spots now. Yeager yanks the throttle to idle. The Mustang slows brutally. almost to a stall. The German overshoots. Yeager rolls up and over, slides in behind and below, kicks right rudder, skids sideways and fires while skidding. The 109's engine disintegrates. White coolant spray. The pilot bails immediately. Fourth kill. Yeager's vision stays clear through every hard turn. His G-suit inflates around his legs, squeezing blood back toward his brain, holding off blackout. Older pilots without G-suits died in maneuvers like this. Fifth target, a damaged 109 streaming coolant, trying to escape. Yeager closes to 300 yards, fires a short burst. The tail section departs the airframe. No parachute appears. Fifth kill, 11 minutes, 587 rounds expended, 117 rounds per kill. He reforms his flight, checks fuel, enough to escort the bombers home. In his head he composes the encounter report. I claim 5 Mi-10-9s destroyed. Ace in a day, the second pilot in the 357th Fighter Group to do it. The first was Major Walter Beckham on May 19th. After October 12, 1944, the 363rd had destroyed 8 of the 22, 0 Mustangs lost. 2 weeks later, the Luftwaffe stopped defending Bremen. By November, they abandoned daytime defense of northwestern Germany entirely. Not victory, annihilation. November 6, 1944. Morning, near Assen, Germany. Yeager's flight patrols at 28,000 feet. Clear weather, unlimited visibility. His wingman calls out, "Lead 2 o'clock high, fast movers." Yeager looks up, contrails at 32,000, moving too fast. He recognizes them. Messerschmitt, Mi-262 jets, twin junkers, Jumo turbojets, 540 miles per hour, 200 faster than any prop fighter. The jets spot the Mustangs and don't engage. They simply accelerate and vanish into cloud. With a 150-mile-per-hour speed advantage, the P-51 can't catch them, can't turn with them, can't climb with them. Direct air combat with Mi-262s is pointless. The jets choose when to fight and when to run. The Mustang can't force an engagement, but Yeager understands something else. Jets need airfields. They burn fuel at brutal rates. 30 minutes endurance at most. They must land. Landing aircraft are prey. He drops below the clouds and waits. Hunts, searches. There, one Mi-262 on final approach to Acme. Gear down, flaps down, 140 miles per hour. Helpless. The airfield is ringed with flak batteries. 88mm guns, 37mm cannons. Pilots call it the steel cloud. Yeager dives through the barrage. Black puffs bracket him. Shrapnel rattles against the fuselage. Close detonations slam the airframe. No critical hits. He closes to 400 yards. The jet fills his sight. He fires a short burst, 50 rounds. Tracers rake the left wing, then the right. Both fuel tanks rupture. The Mi-262 rolls left and slams into the ground 200 yards short of the runway. It explodes in a fireball. A column of black smoke rises. No parachute appears. Yeager climbs back through the flak and escapes. Post-flight inspection reveals 11 holes. None serious. His crew chief will patch them tonight. That kill cost Germany far more than one airplane. Each Mi-262 demands 3,000 labor hours, exotic alloys, rare metals. Its Jumo engines last maybe 12 hours before overhaul. Some fail after 6. More valuable still is the pilot. Only top veterans qualify for jets. Killing one removes irreplaceable experience. Late 1944 numbers tell the rest of the story. P-51 groups claim 5,977 enemy aircraft destroyed, more than any other American type, in just 18 months, from December 1943 to May 1945. October 1943, before P-51s, bomber losses averaged 9.1% per mission. February 1944, with Mustangs, 3.5%. D-Day, Normandy. Allied aircraft fly thousands of sorties. Luftwaffe response, 2 aircraft. 2. Strategic bombing doesn't succeed by smashing factories to rubble. Factories are rebuilt. Production is dispersed. Output even rises. It succeeds by killing the pilots defending those factories. The P-51 makes that systematic destruction possible. Korean War, 1950 to 1953. Same physics, new metal. F-86 Sabres use the same energy fighting doctrine against MiG-15. Boom and zoom, speed over turning, vertical maneuvering. 10-to-1 kill ratios. Vietnam, 1965 to 1973. Early F-4. Phantom crews forget the lessons. They try to dogfight MiG-17s in tight turns. They lose. The Air Force drags veterans back into classrooms. The message is blunt. Never dogfight. Use your speed. Energy tactics. Modern F-15, F-16, and F-22 doctrine traces straight back to P-51 principles. Energy management, vertical maneuvering, first look, first shot advantage. The hardware evolved, from props to jets to supersonic fighters. The physics and the principles never changed. That's legacy, concrete, teachable. May 8, 1945, war ends in Europe. Chuck Yeager returns home, age 22, 11.5 kills, 61 missions, 413 combat hours. Awards: Distinguished Flying Cross, Silver Star, Bronze Star, Air Medal, Purple Heart. He doesn't talk about it, most don't. The Air Force keeps him. Test pilot posting, Muroc Field, California. Later Edwards, experimental programs, October the 14th, 1947. Yeager straps into the Bell X-1. He names it Glamorous Glennis, same name as his Mustang. 3 days earlier he broke 2 ribs falling off a horse in the dark. Didn't report it, couldn't reach the door handle to seal the cockpit. His friend fabricated a broomstick lever. Yeager used it to lock the door, then flew the mission. At 43,000 feet over Rogers Dry Lake, he breaks the sound barrier. 700 miles per hour. Mach 1.06. First human to exceed the speed of sound in level flight. The achievement makes him famous overnight. Test pilot, general, legend. It also overshadows what came before. Berlin, Oschersleben, Bremen, the 61 missions, the 11.5 kills, the 413 hours. He retires from the Air Force in 1975. Brigadier General. But he never stops flying. Consultant, test pilot, air shows. He flies more than 360 different aircraft types. Anything with wings. December 7th, 2020. Yeager dies in a Los Angeles hospital. Age 97. Natural causes. The obituaries focus on October 14th, 1947. Breaking the sound barrier. The X-1. Tom Wolfe's book, The Right Stuff. The movie. The legend. His World War II service gets a paragraph. Fighter ace with 11.5 kills. Sometimes they mention escaping France. Rarely the missions, never the hours. He's buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 5, Site 7006-3. Standard military headstone. Name, rank, dates, awards in small type. It doesn't mention the kills, doesn't mention ace in a day, doesn't mention Berlin, doesn't say he was shot down and walked out of occupied France, doesn't say he helped change the air war. He wouldn't have wanted that anyway. Today every fighter weapons school teaches P-51 tactics, not for nostalgia, because the principles still work. Energy management, situational awareness, first look advantage, aggressive prosecution. Student pilots watch gun camera footage from 1944, analyze Yeager's October 12th engagement, study his choices. Speed control, position, patience, textbook energy fighting. The film is grainy, black and white, no sound. The lessons are crystal clear, timeless. That's legacy, not monuments or speeches or big quotes about courage. Legacy is teaching people how to survive, how to win, how to come home. Quiet, earned, never demanded. Like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from.